Hi, Dr. Avinash here. This video is about carbonic anhydrase inhibitors. What exactly are these drugs? Well, you remember this reaction from the first video from renal pharmacology? Water reacts with carbon dioxide to form H2CO3. This is a reversible reaction and it is catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase enzyme. This H2CO3 can split into H plus and HCO3 minus again in the control of carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So this entire reaction is what we are going to try and target to cause diuresis. The drug we are interested in is called as acetazolamide. This is actually a sulfonamide derivative which is a non-competitive reversible inhibitor of carbonic anhydrase. Now what is competitive and non-competitive inhibitor? A competitive inhibitor looks like the natural substrate. For example, if I make a medicine that looks like carbon dioxide, attaches to carbonic anhydrase where carbon dioxide attaches, I will call it competitive inhibitor. But acetazolamide does not bind to the site where water or carbon dioxide attach themselves to the enzyme. Acetazolamide attaches to a completely different part of carbonic anhydrase enzyme and inhibits it. That's the reason why it is called as non-competitive. Reversible means what? Reversible means acetazolamide can bind to carbonic anhydrase and stop its functioning, and when the time is up, when the concentration changes, acetazolamide will leave carbonic anhydrase so that carbonic anhydrase can work again. Such inhibitors which can bind and unbind are called as reversible inhibitors. Do you remember where we studied about carbonic anhydrase? It was site 1, proximal tubules. Now what will happen because of that? If you recall, NaHCO3 was reabsorbed because of carbonic anhydrase enzyme. When you block carbonic anhydrase, NaHCO3 will be excreted out, right? This causes alkaline diuresis. Very mild, but it does causes a little alkaline diuresis. Now what will happen to the sodium at site 4? At site 4, sodium will be reabsorbed, right? And the K plus will be given away, right? So at site 4, there is an exchange offer going on, sodium for potassium or sodium for hydrogen. Carbonic anhydrase inhibitor acetazolamide also blocks this exchange for sodium and H plus. This exchange offer stops, because of which even sodium is not really reabsorbed. Okay, this is important because, as we are saying, this is alkaline diuresis. Alkaline diuresis, alkali is lost, not acid. Do you know what it means? It means that the urine is going to be alkaline and will have too much of HCO3 minus. Bicarbonates are lost. Now when bicarbonate and alkali is lost, what remains in the body? Acid. So the person will suffer from acidosis. Simple. Now before I go further, I also have to make you understand one very important thing, which is if hydrogen cannot be thrown out at site 4, then potassium will be thrown out. So people will get hypokalemia because of this. So we have to be a little careful. More important than the renal action that I am talking at site 1 and site 4, there are some extra renal actions of acetazolamide that are important. For example, acetazolamide acts on the aqueous humor. Aqueous humor is the fluid in the eyes, and it decreases its production. Okay, now because decrease in production of aqueous takes place, the intraocular tension, IOT, also decreases. So this will be a good drug to give in glaucoma. It decreases the HCl secretion at the level of stomach and pancreatic NaHCO3 secretion. So acidity decreases in stomach and alkalinity of pancreatic juice also decreases. It can raise the level of carbon dioxide in the brain. Now when the CO2 rises, as you can see on this reaction, H2O plus CO2 will combine to form H2CO3. H2CO3 is an acid. Even when H2CO3 splits, it becomes H plus, which is an acid, right? This lowers the pH in the brain and can actually cause sedation and elevation of seizure threshold. And lastly, it alters the carbon dioxide transport between the lungs and tissue. Of course, the last point that I just said, there are compensatory mechanisms that will balance it out. So you don't really have to worry about the fourth point. But keeping this particular slide in mind, you would now be very, find it very easy to guess the uses of acetazolamide. First and foremost, as I said, its use in kidney is limited because acidosis and hypokalemia can happen. So it's very wrong drug to use. So where do you use acetazolamide? First, it lowers intraocular tension, right? So we will use it for glaucoma. Not as a primary drug, but as an adjuvant. Secondly, when we want to, this is what glaucoma looks like. I'll talk about glaucoma in another chapter. To alkalinize the urine, see many times, it's difficult for bacteria to stay in urine. You know why? Because normal human beings have urine which is acidic. Simple. Now, if a person has bacterial infection inside their urinary tract, it means the bacteria is very comfortable in acidic urine. Right? So apart from giving antibiotics to kill these bacteria, don't you think we should be also changing the environment of these bacteria so they find it difficult to stay in the urinary tract? That is exactly what we do. We change the pH of urine, we alkalinize it so the bacteria can die. It is also used as an adjuvant to seizure therapy, absence seizure therapy. We already spoke about this in the last slide, where I spoke about how by increasing the carbon dioxide levels in the brain, acetazolamide increases the seizure threshold. Simple. So seizure will not happen, so give acetazolamide. It's an adjuvant, additional drug, and it can be even given in acute mountain sickness. When people climb mountains, the climb causes, see, at higher altitude oxygen is less, so this climb is causing decreased oxygen in the blood. So what happens when there is decreased oxygen in the blood? The person breathes faster, breathes deeper, right, to try and take in more oxygen. But when somebody tries to breathe faster and deeper, carbon dioxide gets washed off. Carbon dioxide is thrown out. Okay, these things, higher altitude leading to low oxygen and low carbon dioxide and low oxygen in the blood, it all leads to symptoms like headache, nausea, giddiness, weakness, insomnia, worst case scenario, pulmonary and cerebral edema. When you give acetazolamide, it alters that carbon dioxide transport in lungs, tissues, brains, right? By doing that, the breathing will become better and these symptoms that I just spoke about will disappear. And lastly, periodic paralysis, also known as myoplegia paroxysmalis familiaris, has been treated by acetazolamide, something similar to seizure therapy. This is all you need to know as far as acetazolamide is concerned. This is a very simple thing, a very simple topic. Go through it, let me know if there's any doubt, and I will be more than happy to help you. Till the next time we meet, this is Dr. Avinash signing off. Take care, keep rocking, bye bye.